October 18th, 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 4. Hello and welcome back to Ace Attorneys. Alright. We're in trial. Court's now in session for the trial of Mr. Will Powers. Prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Defense is ready, Your Honor. Very well, Mr. Edgeworth. Your opening statement, please. Prosecution will now show the court that at 2:30 p.m. on October 15th, the defendant, Mr. Will Powers, killed fellow actor Jack Hammer in Studio 1 of Global Studios. It's impossible for anyone else to have committed this heinous crime. The evidence presented during the trial will all point to this fact. I see. Very well. I'd like to move on to some testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, the prosecution may call its first witness. Very well. I call a most familiar face, Detective Gumshoe, to the stand. Alright, fucker. Detective, if you would briefly describe this case to the court. Yes, sir. I'll explain it with the guide map here. To understand this case, it's important to grasp the layout of studios, see? This here is the employee area. The actors did a run-through of their action scenes during the morning here. This is the main gate to the studios. The security lady that works at the studios was here at 1 p.m. on that day. Past the security station, there is a gate, see? Past that are the studios. And here it is, Studio 1. This is where the scene of the murder, where the body was found. Now, on the day of the murder, October 15th, there were only 3 people here. The victim, Jack Hammer, the defendant, Will Powers, and a young woman, the production assistant. All the production staff were in the employee area until noon. Then, after lunch, the victim, Jack Hammer, went to Studio 1. Right after that, at 1 p.m., the security lady got to the guard station. Now jump ahead to later that day, 5 o'clock p.m. The production staff came to Studio 1 to perform a rehearsal. Needless to say, the rehearsal was cancelled. The time of death was 2:30 p.m. The samurai spear found lodged into the victim's chest was the murder weapon. That's the case, in brief. Anyone like to hear that again? Should I listen to the whole thing again? Nah, we're good. I mean, I guess we'll listen again. I meant to click the other option, but I guess we will listen again. Why the fuck not? I should have known it would be you, pal. Fine, once more for the mentally challenged lawyer. Wow, rude. Yeah, live it up while you can, Gumshoe. I did not mean to click this. Boopy, boopy, boopy. Skip it. I think I can probably remember that. Alright, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. Let me just... Okay, how medieval. Samurai spear added to the court record. Your Honor, this case is quite simple if you ask one question. And that question is, what did the security lady at the guard station see? Understood. Let's call the security officer to the stand. Okie bokies. Okay. Will the witness declare her name? My, aren't you a handsome fellow? I'm afraid I'm a bit flustered. Your name, please. Oh, dearie, no need for you to be embarrassed. Just call me Grandma. Your name, please. Seems Edgeworth has a bit of trouble getting his witnesses to say their names. Wendy Oldbag, dearie. So just call me Grandma. Blah 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 blah. Fuck, I hate this bitch. Objection. I object to the witness's talkativeness. Objection sustained. The witness will refrain from rambling on the stand. I was just getting to the good part, dearie. Perhaps we can get to the testimony. Now, the witness was stationed at the main gate on the day of the murder, correct? Yes, say I was. And to get to the scene of the murder, someone would have to pass by you. You know your stuff, dearie. You may begin your testimony. Sure, she sure is one hell of an old bag. Alright, let's go. On the day of the murder, I arrived at the guard station at 1 p.m. Poor old Hammer and the rest had been doing a run-through there since the morning. Well, I had some errands to run that morning. Anyways, it was 1 o'clock when I got to the guard station. I was at the main gate from then until 5. Now, the murder happened at 2:30 p.m., right? Interesting to me because a certain man walked right by me at 2 o'clock p.m. It was Powers, that was man right there, and he was headed to the studio. Saw the defendant then? Very well. Let's begin the cross-examination, Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor. You didn't see Mr. Powers, you saw his suit, dumbass. On the day of the murder, I arrived at the guard station. Blah, blah, blah. It was Powers. Ha ha ha. Fucking was it. You're full of shit, bitch. Let me get this straight, old bag. Miss Old Bag. You've been saying since yesterday that you saw Mr. Powers, correct? But you're talking about the man in this photo, aren't you? Just a moment, Mr. Wright. Let me see that photo. What is this exactly? None other than the Steel Samurai, defender of Neo-Old Tokyo. Miss Old Bag, is this the Mr. Powers that you saw? Of course, didn't your mama teach you any sense, sonny? Anyone can plainly see that's Powers, right? No, they can't. Well, I mean, I wonder. True, Mr. Powers does play the role of the Steel Samurai. But that doesn't mean Mr. Powers is the Steel Samurai. I know that. I wasn't born yesterday. No one in this court is accusing you of that, witness. He's having trouble calling her old bag, apparently. However, you do not have proof that the person in this photo is Mr. Will Powers, do you? Humph, nosy old man. Of course I have proof. What? Huh? Even Edgeworth is surprised. The prosecution would like to ask the witness. Please make known all the information in your possession ahead of time. How was I to know everyone would be so nosy? You should all be ashamed, all of you. Anyways, I showed that photo to the young detective. He told me this isn't any good as evidence, pal. He didn't even give it a second look. Wow, old Windbag has left even Edgeworth speechless. She's good. Let's hear about your proof, then. The man in the photo. I never say anything I don't mean, mind you. That morning during the run-through of the action scene, I saw Powers trip and fall. He broke one of the props. It was a big mess. Apparently, he sprained his ankle pretty bad. Now look at that picture. You can see he's dragging his legs, see? Clear as day. That's how I knew it was Powers, Happy. So he had to sprain his ankle. Very well. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. She's gotta be hiding something. I'll press her until she squeals. You're gonna get fucked up. You're gonna get fucked up. Never saw anything. In the morning during the action scene, I saw Powers trip and fall. He broke one of the props. Can you explain? He broke a prop. Sure did. His own samurai spear. His samurai spear? The murder weapon? Luckily, I was there with duct tape to fix it. This strikes me as a significant detail. I'd better write this down in the court record. The murder weapon, a break in the shaft has been mended with duct tape. Apparently, he sprained his ankle pretty bad. Okay. Let's see his dragon in clear day. How I knew. Well, Nick, find any glaring contradictions? Well, she seems pretty sure that it was Powers in that photo. Guess I'll just press her and see if I can shake her conviction. Ever say anything I didn't mean? Let's see about this. Who was present at the run-through? Well, let's see. There was Powers, he's the Steel Samurai. Then poor old Mr. Hammer, the evil magistrate. And me. What exactly were you doing? Observing. Just observing. What about the assistant? Oh, she was off moving backdrops around and such. So she didn't see the run-through then? Broke one of the props, was a big mess. I think we've heard enough. Haven't we, Your Honor? Well, there is one thing that bothers me, which is... Where is this Steel Samurai costume now? Actually, well, we couldn't find it. We're looking, though. Anyway, that's not important. The witness did see the Steel Samurai, yes? And it's clear that the person in the Steel Samurai suit was Mr. Will Powers. I suppose that's right. Are you sure you're sure, Your Honor? Object. Hold it right there. We keep talking possibilities, but we have to agree that this photo shows the Steel Samurai. Nowhere in this photo can we see Mr. Will Powers. The defense has a point. I also wonder if someone else not caught on camera could have killed Mr. Hammer. We have to consider that possibility also. And allow me to remove the doubt from your mind, Your Honor. Will the witness continue her testimony, please? No need to ask twice. The time of poor Hammer's death was 2:30 p.m., true? The only person I saw go to the studio before them was Will Powers. No one else went there. If they had, I would have seen them. Oh, really? I think you're full of shit because the photo that you had's labeled number 2. Binitch. It would have been the Steel Samurai who did it. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Well, it's fine that, I can cross-examine her because she's full of shit. The only person I saw go there, no one else went there. Oh, really? I fucking doubt. Big doubt. Photo number 2. Bitch. Hold on. Look at this photograph one more time. This photo was taken by the camera at the gate for the studios, correct? Yes, sirree, Sonny. So whenever anyone passes by here, it automatically takes a picture. And here I thought you didn't know your head from a hole in the ground. Right. Anyway, it's also true that the computer in the guard station records all security cam data. Oh, you know, if you wanted to work at the studio, we might have an opening. That very computer printed out this photo. Note that on the back of the photo are printed the words October 15th, 2:00 p.m., photo number 2. Even I know that means it was taken at 2:00 p.m. on October the 15th. Really, Sonny? Actually, I knew that too. The issue here is the bit at the end where it says photo number 2. Photo number 2? The computer only held data for one photo that day. Don't you think that's odd? Shouldn't this be photo number 1 if it really was the only photo? Order, order! Please tell the court what you mean by this, Mr. Wright. Actually, that's what I wanted to ask the witness. The evidence shows that not 1 but 2 people went to the studio that day, yet there's only data for one of the photos. Who could have erased the data for the other photo? Only someone with access, the security lady herself. Watch your mouth, whippersnapper. The only person I saw that day was Mr. Will Powers. But the camera on the gate fired twice. That means 2 people went by. Well, yes, that's what it would seem to mean. Can the witness explain this to the court? I don't understand these newfangled computer things. Edgy boy, help. Believe me, I want to, but I don't know what this means either. Some help you are. You're a whippersnapper, too. Whippersnapper? Something the matter, Miss Oldbag? Ah, that's right. I just remembered something. Let me guess. Someone else passed by the gate? Someone other than the Steel Samurai? Well, yes, I suppose you could put it that way. I see. Your testimony, please. Every day after I finish my guard duties, I have one other important job to do. I go through the photos recorded on the security computer and check them. I throw out any photos that aren't suspicious looking, you see. Come to think of it, now I remember throwing out one other photo that day. Miss Oldbag, this is the first I've heard of this. Well, of course, Sonny, I've only just remembered it. Right. Anyway, Mr. Wright, please begin the cross-examination. Well, I'd say this was a turn for the unexpected, but I kind of expected this. The other person. Go through the photos, I throw out any photos that aren't suspicious. Come to think of it now, I remember throwing out one photo that day. Who? Well, who in the heck was in the photo that you erased? A fanboy. Fanboy? Steel Samurai fanboys, real freaks if you ask me. They get information about rehearsals from gosh knows where. They're always hanging about. One was there that day. Wait a second. Didn't you just say no one else could get in? I locked the main gate so no one could get in. Those were your words. Well, if you must know, there's a drain that goes into the employee area. The grate had been loose for a while. It leads outside, and well, that's where they come in. They come in through the drain? I told you they were freaks. Oh, and they're kids, children, whippersnappers. Kids? So on the photo that you erased, it was a boy, probably 2nd or 3rd grade. What? Order, order! Let me get this straight. You saw 2 people pass by the gate on their way to the studios that day. One was the Steel Samurai dragging his leg, the other was a boy who looked to be in about 2nd or 3rd grade. Oh yes, well, we see his type every day there. Can't stop him, can't catch him. A boy in 2nd or 3rd grade, and I assume it would be hard, if not possible, for a young boy to wield a samurai spear. Impossible, I'd think. It's quite heavy. Right, as I said, I didn't pay him much mind. That's why I erased the data. Nick, what's going on? I mean, the boy was there, that makes him a suspect. Yeah, and they're already trying to unsuspect him. The court will take a 5-minute recess. I want the defense and the prosecution to consider this new information, and no forgetting vital information this time. October 18th, 11:08 a.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 3. Mr. Powers? Yes? Tell me straight, were you really in your dressing room? You didn't go to the studio? I didn't go to the studio, I was sleeping, honest. So who was the Steel Samurai in that security photo? How should I know? The Steel Samurai costume was off in the corner of the dressing room. Anyone could have walked in and taken it, really? What? You should take better care of that stuff. I couldn't imagine anyone would want to steal a Steel Samurai costume. So, where does this leave me? Doesn't look good. You're the only likely suspect right now. Nick! What are we going to do? First, we play for more time. We'll start targeting someone else that could conceivably have done this. Right. And it'll take them so long to shoot us down that we can get another day. Right. But if we pick the wrong person, we might lose on the spot. You don't sound very optimistic. I'm not optimistic at all, actually. Hey, Nick, it's time. Okay, let's go. What does that mean? Please don't sigh like that. Don't worry, we got you. I know who I suspect from the evidence right now. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Mr. Will Powers. Mr. Edgeworth, will you present the prosecution's thoughts on this matter? Prosecution's thoughts are simple. Nothing has changed. The other person who went to the studio was a boy for roughly 10 years of age. Photo we do have may not be hard evidence, but there is still no one else that could have committed this crime. I call for a verdict of guilty for the defendant, Mr. Will Powers. Very well, Mr. Wright, your thoughts? The defense disagrees with the prosecution's claim. There is another person who could have committed this crime. Order. Interesting. Let us hear who you have in mind. However, be aware that this court does not look kindly on accusing the innocent. If you accuse someone who is obviously innocent, you will be penalized. Right, great. As if the stakes weren't that high enough. So who was this person other than Mr. Powers that could have committed the murder? It's the security lady. It was the security lady, Wendy Oldbag. Who? The steel samurai is dragging his leg in this picture. That means whoever was in the suit knew more about the morning injury. Maybe because they had been watching the action scene run through. There was only one other person other than Powers and Hammer who knew about the injury. The security lady, Oldbag. What? Whippersnapper. Order, order. Is this true, Oldbag? Oldbag? That's Miss Oldbag to you. Miss Oldbag was standing guard alone at the main gate. She was by herself. In other words, she has no alibi. She could have briefly left her post to steal the steel samurai costume, then slipped into Studio 1, the seat of the murder. Why would she go through the trouble of wearing the steel samurai costume? Simple, Your Honor. She knew the camera at the gate would take her picture. If she was in his costume, she could point the finger at Mr. Powers. I see. Excellent deductive reasoning, Mr. Wright. Oh yeah, right here. Sherlock Holmes 2, baby. That's odd. Isn't this the part where Edgeworth pounces? Doesn't he usually jump up with an objection and some new damning evidence? Well, Mr. Edgeworth, does the prosecution have an opinion on this matter? Prosecution has no meaningful objections at this time. What? That's supposed to mean? Oh, so you think I did- is that it? Edgy boy, don't just sit there, do something! What's my move? Maybe now's my chance to take this the whole new way. Press further. The very same reasoning that makes Mr. Powers a suspect in this case can be used to cast doubt on Miss Oldbag's actions on that day. But why would I do something so horrible to poor Hammer? You forget that Mr. Powers lacks a clear motive too. Indeed. That did it. Now Windbag is one of the suspects. No hard feelings, I hope. Wait just a minute! What about the other person who went to the studio? The boy, the one whose photo I erased. He's only a grade schooler though. You said 2nd or 3rd grade, was it? That doesn't matter. When I was that age, I could pin my old man in 10 seconds tops. Your thoughts, Mr. Wright? That boy is not the killer. What? How can you be so sure? Oh, or is it be nice to the kids, mean to your elders day, whippersnapper? I have proof. Proof? Indeed. Now let's see this proof, Mr. Wright. You have proof that shows the boy could not have committed this murder? Yeah, the spear itself. Your Honor, the murder weapon was the samurai spear. This spear is shown here in the photo. How could the boy have taken this spear? It's impossible. I see. Well, would the witness care to comment on this? Windbag speechless. This has got to be a first. Very well. The court will suspend proceedings on the current trial for today. Mr. Edgeworth, please find out more about your witness, Miss Wendy. What was her name? Something Oldbag, Your Honor. And the prosecution will look further into this old bag before we continue. That is all. This court is adjourned. Wait a second! I'm just going to sit here while you run off barking up the wrong tree. Me! I'm talking. Oh great. Stop the presses. The windbag wants to talk. Miss Oldbag, what is this about? All you have omitted something from your testimony. Actually, if you must know, there's something I was told not to talk about. Not to talk about? By whom? You mean it wasn't Edgeworth who told her not to talk? Well, testify. My lips were sealed. Global Studios wanted me to keep quiet about something. There were some other people at the studios on the day of the murder. They said they had nothing to do with it, see? They told me just to pretend they hadn't been at the studios that day. But if you're going to go accusing me, I'm not letting them get away scot-free. Miss Oldbag, this is crucial information. Why did you keep this from the court until now? Ain't you been listening? They told me to shut my trap, and I always do what I'm told. No, this isn't a bad dream, Your Honor. Witness the power of the old bag. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination. This motherfucker. Wanted me to keep quiet. There were some other people on that day. Who? Who were these people? Well, the director and the producer for starters. The director? We should have known something was fishy. How could they have done a run-through of their action scene without a director? Of course. Yes, well, I was surprised no one asked about it. So, where were these people? The director was in the employee area all morning for the run-through. He joined the producer around lunchtime and they had a meeting after that. Where? Oh, in the Studio 2 trailer. Studio 2? There was a Studio 2? Well, if you look at the guide map, here it is. You go through the gate and all the way to the left. The path where the monkeys had fallen over. Well, Mr. Wright, would you like to continue the cross-examination? I think I've already asked all my questions, but... Yeah, no, take a break. Your Honor, we have learned there were others at the Global Studios on the day in question. The director and the producer and some bigwigs were all present. Yet, as we stand here, they have not been questioned. I hold that it is impossible to declare a verdict on the defendant, Mr. Powers. The court acknowledges the defense's point. Prosecution will gather more information about the witness, Miss Oldbag, and more information about these other people we have just been told of. I understand, Your Honor. This ends the day's proceedings in the trial of Mr. Will Powers. That is all. This court is adjourned. Get fucked! October 18th, 1:04 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 3. Thank you so much, Mr. Wright. I was right to ask you to defend me. Aw, really, it's nothing. Oh, or should I... Well, I'll be going down to the studios to do some more investigating. We have to find out more about this director and producer. They'll be turning up in the next trial as witnesses for certain. So now's my chance to get material for the cross-examination. So, Nick, have we figured out just who it was in that steel samurai costume? Could it really have been that old windbag? What do you think, Mr. Powers? I don't think it was her, really. Neither do I, Nick. Yeah, I know. Look, I was just buying time back there. Someone had to be the bad guy for a bit to take the pressure off Mr. Powers. Poor old windbag. I feel kind of sorry for her. Well, she wasn't winning any points in there with or without my accusation. Okay, let's get down to the studios. Right, we'll be back to visit you soon. Thanks, guys. Sniff. I was sniffing instead of saying sniff for a while, but my clogged nose doesn't really like that, so we're gonna not. Alright, that's the end of this episode. We whooped ass in court. Next episode, we're gonna go back to investigating. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.